Hi, I'm Camaro and I'm here today to give a full breakdown of why NoSQL has more capabilities and functions that keeps itself far more ahead than SQL. First, let's start with what we know SQL to be. What is a SQL database? Well, a SQL or structured query language is a standard query language that is used to manage RDBMS or relational database management systems and performs a number of operations on the data available in that database. They store data in a row-based table structure, which connects related data elements. SQL allows data in tables to be shifted through by queries, which is a traditional way of working databases. And RDBMS includes functions that maintain the security, accuracy, integrity, and consistency of data. It also helps in analyzing the data in the database and updates or deletes them when required. Now, what is a NoSQL database? Well, if you can see from this chart here, we have a NoSQL database connected to high scalability, big data capability, easier replication, faster performance, and high availability. NoSQL systems are also sometimes called not only SQL, to emphasize that they may support SQL-like query languages or sit alongside SQL databases. They have simplicity of design, simpler horizontal scaling to clusters of machines, which is a natural problem for relational databases. The data structures used by NoSQL databases, key value pair, wide column, graph, or document, are different from those used by default in relational databases, making some operations faster in NoSQL. The particular suitability of a given NoSQL database depends on the problem it must solve. Sometimes the data structures used by NoSQL databases are also viewed as more flexible than relational database tables. It could go to where SQL databases can't sometimes. Now, moving on to the differences between SQL and NoSQL. The differences vary largely between SQL and NoSQL. SQL databases defines and manipulates database structured query language. It can be pretty restrictive. SQL requires you to use predefined schemas to determine the structure of your data before you work with it. All of your data must follow the same structure. This can require significant upfront preparation, which means that a change in the structure would be both difficult and disruptive to your whole system. A NoSQL database, on the other hand, has a dynamic schema for unstructured data, whereas a SQL database must follow the same structure. Data is stored in many ways, which means it can be document-oriented, column-oriented, or graph-based. This flexibility allows documents that can be created without having defined structures at first. Also, each document can have its own unique structure. The syntax varies from database to database, and you can add fields as you go. What NoSQL is used for? Over here, you can see that this is a screenshot of one of the documents I found, explaining how NoSQL databases are able to avoid joins and are easier to scale. And the major purpose of the NoSQL database is for distributed data stores with humongous data storage needs, which is fantastic for large companies. Talking about large companies, we move on to the next slide, which is what large companies use NoSQL and why. And over here, we can see according to MongoDB, many large companies prefer to use NoSQL due to its ability of storing, distributing, and indexing data compared to SQL. And also there's an image here of Stack Overflow commenting that NoSQL is the most wanted database by developers. Some of these major organizations that make use of NoSQL are Amazon, Adobe, Capgemini, SAP, Qualcomm, and JP Morgan. These companies use NoSQL because it helps in providing a mechanism to store and retrieve data. Its design is simple and more flexible as compared to SQL. NoSQL databases are easier to develop, function, and they perform well. NoSQL is also the most wanted database by developers, and NoSQL goes much farther and faster than SQL can manage, and helps out these companies with management because of its high availability, elastic scalability, and agile development. That'll be all for today. Hope you all enjoyed and root on for NoSQL. And here are the references.